One day, Bakar Wozat woke up to find he was not on the mental block server anymore. What could have happened? Where was he? This is the story of how he got back. Hi, and welcome to Terrain of Terror. This is a single player that is going to be on some pretty fancy terrain, and I hope you enjoy this wonderful, wonderful situation. I will not be pressing F3 the entire time I play this game. And so, will he be lost? Will he be found? Where will he go? I don't know. We will see what happens. It was a terrible day. Bakar surveyed the area around him. He could not believe what he was seeing. What happened to his base? What was with this strange place? There was seeds. Well, he knew he was going to need seeds. It was good. What time was it? He did not know. He now had 4 seeds, which would not be enough. He kept making this. He decided to stop at 7. No, he would keep going and do 8 if he could. But that wasn't it. He now had to kill a tree. All he knew was that his survival instincts kicked in, and it was important to him. And it was strange that this stuff was not dying on him. Uh-oh. Something was clearly wrong. Ah. Still. This was serious. If he was going to have to keep doing that over and over again, he knew he was in trouble. But he persevered. Ah. Was he going to be able to get through this without any problems? Well, he was having problems now. This was some serious lag, but it was time he... Oops. It's time he accidentally got a screenshot. Well, that wasn't his fault, probably. He knew he was going to have to spend the night in a shelter. There was a floating island there. For all he knew, he was in a floating island. He couldn't tell. He decided he was going to have to... Oops. He knew he was going to have to do something. He was going to have to stop being so clumsy around here. Okay. He now had what he sought. To build his little base. How was he going to survive? He did not know. For some reason, achievements seemed to have been off, but that wasn't important. Ah, coal at last. He was quite surprised to find it so soon. Okay, the first things first, he said, I've got to get all this coal. Well, no, I don't have to get all this coal. I'm going to stop because I need to get more stone for other purposes. In fact, I've got that now. I'll need to make one of these. One there. One there. And rather obviously. Already things were coming together for him, although he now needed a lot more wood. Didn't have enough wood to make more wood, but that didn't matter. Oh, and he also had the problem if he had to put this somewhere. This would be a good place to put it. That would also be a good idea, to put that indoors. Not that he had any doors. And so it was back to the wood cutting, or the wood whatevering. And now he was getting achievements, which suggested that finally the world was more stable. How had he ended up in this world? How did this... And how is it things were not working out properly for him? What was he supposed to do? He felt terribly ashamed about the terrible lagness. Especially as nothing was coming of it. He knew that this was a problem. He was going to have to do all that he could. And all that was possible was going to have to be done. As soon as it was possible to do. Now what was he going to need? He thought for a second. He was going to need to make a hoe. Oop. And having made that hoe, he was going to have to create. Oh, he had a sapling for some reason. He did not want that sapling. Who puts saplings around here? I'm trying to create something edible. And then he peered over the edge and he saw how terrible his predicament was. How far was it down there? That was a terrible thing. He did not know if he could make it. He got worried, but he knew that this was a good place that he could start on certain matters. He knew that there was no water there, but he knew that that didn't matter too much. Well, maybe it mattered a little bit. Maybe it mattered a little bit. But he knew it would grow eventually. And he was sorry he did not have the wood, but that did not matter too much. That he did not have the water either. Next, it was very vital that he got lots more wood. And he was going to have to do this again. Was he going to be trapped at this forever and ever? He did not know. Well, that was a positive result. Doors were next. He could make 3 doors, which was excellent. Now he had a place to call his own, but he did not have the food he sought. He decided to keep the amount needed very low. Above all, he was going to need to not panic. Would he get through this first day? He did not know. Next, he needed a bed. He had to scope around for some sheep. There were some pigs over here, which was a very, very fortuitous thing. But he needed sheep. This was a very serious amount of lag. He'd never known it in his mental block days. Never. And he was having trouble even fighting. He'd never known the likes of this before. And the whole time, F3 must not be pressed. He went over here to the other side. Still during the day. At last, it looked like he might be able to travel there. He saw creepers, though. It was shadowy. It was underneath this. It was very dangerous terrain. Perhaps terrain of terror. He looked over there and he saw some fallen gravel that had fallen from, well, perhaps there. Perhaps there were holes. It was not obvious to him. All he knew was, though he may have been near the top, well, he wasn't near the top. Look, there was the top up there. What was he to do? He didn't know. How can you know things like this? This is terrible. There are no sheep, and therefore there will not be a bed, probably. I shall look. I shall look everywhere I can for where there might be sheep. He did not see any in this direction. All he saw were the mists of distance. He looked in this direction, fearful of falling off an edge that was too dangerous to contemplate. There was water, but where he was, he felt he was safe. Whether he actually was safe, he did not know. One final try, if possible, at cutting. He did not know what will come of this, but he did know that he was in trouble. He settled down for a long, long rest with absolutely no possible chance of making it. Would he survive? Why did he make buttons by mistake? Well, it's got to be a seriously stupid thing to have done. And yet did it he did. Did it he did? That sounds terrible. Is that the best you could come up with? I'm sorry. He looked at the strange new texture. He looked at how nice it was and how he had done pretty well for himself with it. But it was time now for something more important than textures. He needed more coal, and he had more coal. Would he survive? Suddenly he realizes he forgot if he'd set the thing to normal mode or if he had it on easy, which may seem like a kind of stupid thing to have done. Nope, definitely normal mode. He worries about things like that. He doesn't want people to think he is cheating. There is much coal to be had. Then he remembers he has to put the food in the furnace. He will also need more furnaces, which he can put there. However, he only has enough for one more furnace, and he realizes he is going to need to conserve for everything. Instead, he decides he will put down his chest and fill it with the things that he does not currently need, or stupidly made, or things like that. Night has come. His crops are not going to grow at night. Well, you'd be surprised. Sometimes they do grow at night, even with no water. He looks out the other hole. It looks the same as the hole on the left. He's looking through a giant's pair of binoculars. Still no sheep. Will sheep appear? He knows not. He resumes digging out the things that mean the most to him. And now there is a problem. What is he going to do? The pigs are all dead. He could perhaps have bred the pigs, but it did not seem likely. And he doesn't have any dirt to put in there, interestingly. Or perhaps not interestingly. It may not matter at first, but it will eventually matter. He does not see any mobs out there, even though this is in normal mode. Maybe it's because he put those torches out. Down. Wait! Creeper. Definitely was a creeper there. Also, there's the possibility of mobs spawning from upstairs. He resumes digging out the stone at a faster pace now, so as to make a much larger area he can call his home. Not that he needs a very large area, but he would like a large area. And he needs the stone. And as he does this, knowing that he does not have a bed yet, he laments. Oh, whatever happened? How did I end up here? What did I ever do to deserve being left here? Whatever shall be done here. That is good enough for now. It is not as good as it could be because he made the mistake of losing his tree bits. At least he can plant more trees as needed. So there is that. Now he has the place for his bed, but he still has no bed. What shall become of this? He is not done though. He needs to dig out one little extra area. Who knows the far-reaching consequences of having done so? Something breaking through suddenly at the other end. Or as it happens, nothing happened. He decides to light up his place. And then having done so, he reveals a very interesting situation and calamity that has befallen him. He scratches his head, pondering. I have no armor, he says, suddenly dawning upon him. Moreover, I have this strange new stone about which I know nothing. Let us take some, and look upon it, perhaps with alacrity. Perhaps the stuff is of some use somehow. Perhaps not. He puts away the diorite, which he'd never heard of before, pondering what it may mean, or what it may be even. However, he is pleased, for he now has food. It is pig flesh. He is also pleased that he can make 3 more furnaces that he cares to make, that is. He does not actually need those furnaces. And he can put food in one of them. As to what to do with that, he has no idea yet. He leaves it like that. That shall be fine, he says. This is a terrible modicum of style, and is only not as good as one might want it to be, for the simple reason of necessity, and of, unfortunately, I made my exit the wrong way. The sun set that way, and it rose this way. I shall need to dig in this direction, he said, for as to see in that direction. And so he made his move. He was going to go and look. Perhaps he would come across iron. But was he too high up for the iron? He did not know. More of the mysterious new stone appeared before him. He would have gaped in awe if it had not been for the fact that he was looking to see where this went. As the corridor went pretty far, he was quite pleased with himself. I have a nice little area. Suddenly something appears before him. What is this? It looks stone-like. It is a new stone called granite. He is quite bemused by this whole thing, not knowing. What was that? A strange thing nonetheless. He cannot get through. He decides to turn around and put up torches. He will get back to this later on. He knows he will. Things have gone well for him, but now he is out of torches. More must be made, but he has so little wood left. But day has broken. He decides to be very conservational. He will do that which he said he would never do and build an axe. Though it was a stupid thing to have done, so far as he knows. He sees no creeper. He is confident that there is no creeper. He can now jump at the chance. He will now leave that alone. He now has several tasks that he has decided to perform. The main task that he has decided to perform is he is going to clear out the area of trees, and he will replant the trees elsewhere. He will try to pillar up to the top there. Or maybe he could just travel to the top. In fact, he will do that first. There are more pigs. He decides he's going to leave them alone for now. But he is not sure whether that is the best course of action. He cannot know. He decides to get some dirt. Because he must get up there to the top. It is a blank and desolate space. He is astonished by the sheer size of it. Surely we must be at the build height, he says. He looks in these holes. Careful, careful. What could have been in those holes? He doesn't know. Suddenly he realizes he did not place a marker to indicate how he had gotten up. This kind of carelessness might cost him his life. So he went back to look. And indeed, he had forgotten exactly where he had built this, but he sees suddenly he realizes that was not going to work. This was going to be a problem because he was going to need to be able to see that at a distance, and he could not. Well, there was nothing for it. He was going to have to place perhaps a stone. And it was strange. He could not. Why would it not place? He had no problem putting that there. But he simply could not place stone at 255. It became too much for him. He could not cope. He had seen what the upper world was like, but now he knew that he was not going to be able to share in it. It was time to go and see what he could make of the rest of everything. Perhaps, desperately he thought, there would be sheep. He knew that safety was of primary importance to him, and he needed a bed. The sheep must give their lives. The pigs could wait. As long as they didn't fall off, everything would be fine. He looked at the pretty flowers which had strange lighting bugs. Or lightning bugs. No, lighting bugs. He decided it wasn't very interesting. Perhaps would there be sheep up here? He knew that likely there would not be. No sheep. Cows, however, which was a very pleasant sight. Ah, but how to get up there? That was not so much of a problem to him. He had pillared up on things before. No sheep down there, but did that mean that there were no sheep in the entire world? Or was there something else going on that he did not know of? Perhaps he would have better luck attempting to get up there somehow. An all-pork diet, something he never thought he would do. He viewed pigs as unclean, did not want to eat them. But it wasn't like he was Muslim or anything, and if there was nothing else for him to eat, he would eat what necessity had provided. Of course, there were cows, so that was something. He started down the hill, not sure of what he would find. Sheep generally don't appear in snowy locations, he said. Creepers, however, will appear in shadow. It looked hopeless. He was going to have to retreat. He wasn't even sure he should worry about that gravel which had fallen from up there. He began to worry because he did not know where he was going to have to go. Zombie down there. Looked like they were safe from his sword. Down there, he looked desperately. Were those chickens? Were those plants? It was impossible to tell. They didn't seem to be moving, so perhaps they were plants. There was nothing for it. He was going to have to chop down some more trees. Time to grab those things, which were all over the place, to see how his seeds were going. They were doing poorly, but they were growing, albeit at a very slow rate. He just had to take as many seeds as he possibly could handle because he knew the pigs and the cows would not last forever. He would not be able to get a farm for them going until he had wheat and seeds galore. And it was to pretty the place up that he was removing these things. Midday on day 2, or perhaps he should say day 1, although he does not press F3. If he were to press F3, it would say day 1, and not, because the first day was actually day 0. He ponders why that is there and why that has not turned into a tree yet. Is there something wrong, perhaps, he thinks? Then perhaps he realizes the distance between there and the top wasn't very much. Maybe that is making it difficult to plant the tree. He considers that possibility, but ultimately decides against worrying about it. It is not until he could get a really decent farm going with water. Where will he get water? Is there water? There, he sees water there. But how to get there? He knows. Suddenly he knows what he must do. He must get that gravel. How does one go down there to get the gravel, he asks. But it is possible. It is possible. It is not, however, possible for him to get the gravel. What is he to do if he cannot get the gravel? If it is forever impossible? He does, however, by very slow bounds and leaps, manage to acquire some. But he knows that it is not his time to be able to get very many at the present moment. He knows sun is going to set. He cannot be seen here for too long. The creepers will be coming. Perhaps he thinks the creepers are already here. He lights up such a small amount. Oh no! He sees a creeper! Water! Water nearby! That is a very pleasant surprise. He must outrun the creeper. Why not fight it? Suddenly, it is gone. What happened, he said. There it is. Oh, it has decided to resume the chase. The damage is minimal. Confined to the ground. Now he must get iron so that he can get the buckets for this. Meanwhile, he has to do this. He decides that he will fill in the bottom line. He will conserve what he can. The sun is going down. Perhaps he should use the X and then resume his digging. He decides not to cut this tree down because it may be dropping vines. It may well drop vines that go a great distance in future. Perhaps all the way down there, which might be of some use. On the other hand, how will he get anywhere? He doesn't know. Meanwhile, he decides he will 1, 2, 3, 4. He will cut a channel. Which he will use. But now he needs the iron. He decides before going to sleep to look around to see if he can find any iron up here. If indeed there still is any. This is another strange stone he decides to take samples of. 2 should be enough, he decides. It is strangely called andesite. That was strange grass. He remembers breaking it, and suddenly he has it again. The sun is going down, and so, still without a bed, he decides sleep is the better part of valor, and it's time to put away the things he has found. The good things, the bad things. He knows not what will come next. But he knows that this day has been well spent and well enjoyed, and perhaps he will even survive. But how can he possibly get back to his friends at Mental Block? Oh, my friends that I had one day, killed with the necks in the thick of the fray. And I told them not to grief my place, but it was still the sort of thing that they did and left without a trace. Will I ever be trapped in this place that I live? For these echoing stone walls, they seem to give not a hope of life or a way to live. But it's not the worst of things that could happen to me. For I'm on my own once again, I see. Oh, I'm on my own once again, I see. The fare that I had was very dear, and did assault me to the ear with its grunts and squeals. But the wheels are turning, and have been set in motion, and soon I will have my way to the ocean, from which I can construct a boat and maybe get of it afloat and maybe travel all the far the distance black to the mental block. Though a bed is not what I do have, I will do the best that what I can, till I find a sheep and it gives him a streak, and I use the wool and my shearing tool, and I puts the two together with the wood to make the place to rest as I should. Oh, I try not to think of how bad my home was. Will I get back? I do not know what the score was. Am I still in the death games? Will my place be ever the same? But they calls me chief, and they try to grief, and they know it's bad because I'm feeling sad. Will they get back in time to see I've run out of rhymes? And I'll be the best that I put to the test all the people that I know. From this and that and servers gone and seasons long ago. Oh!